Good morning, friends. Last lecture we saw homogeneous and heterogeneous types of mixture and understood the difference between a true solution, a suspension, and a colloid. So we saw the differences, the particle size, and how a true solution allows light to pass through it. A suspension may or may not show a path of light, and a colloid acts as a homogeneous solution, but when light is passed through it, it acts as a heterogeneous mixture. Right? So we have learned true solution, suspension, and a colloid. So mixtures are formed when two or more substances are added in any amount. Now we shall move on to the next topic is the separation of a mixture. Now we know most of the natural substances are not chemically pure, means they contain substances or impurities or particles other than the natural element. So what do we do? Sometimes we need to separate the individual component from a mixture. So we have to separate the mixtures and different methods of separation are used. So separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. Why separation important? It makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. So sometimes we need to know what mixtures are made up of. It helps us in two ways. It helps us to understand the individual components of a mixture, and it also tells us in what amount to add different substances to make the mixture of our choice. Now mixtures which are heterogeneous can be separated into the constituent by simple methods like hand picking. So I gave the example you studied in the previous standard. Picking up stones from wheat is called hand picking. There is a difference in color or which is visible to the naked eye. Then there is sieving, when the particles are different in size. So you can just sieve it. So the separation depends upon the gaps in the sieve, the holes in the sieve. When you keep the hole small, only fine particles will fall down, larger particles will stay in the sieve. Now when the solid does not dissolve in the liquid, we can use a filter paper and do the filtration. Then we have winnowing, and we have learned lot of techniques in the previous standard. Now we are going to move on to some special techniques to separate the components of a mixture. Now why are we going to use these special techniques? Because the techniques mentioned above are not adequate here. Heterogeneous mixtures can be done by those methods, hand picking, sieving, filtration. But when the mixtures are homogeneous, homogeneous means they dissolve and they are the same throughout the bulk. So the first separation technique or the first separation method is evaporation. So what does evaporation do? Now we'll see with an example. We want to separate the dye from the ink. So if you look at the ink, it has got a colored pigment inside. Ink is of blue color, black color, green color, red color. The different colors of the ink is because of the dye, the colored dye inside. Now what we intend to do, we want to separate the dye, the solid part from the ink. Okay. Now, when is this method of evaporation used? When out of the two components of the mixture has got two components. Okay. In the two components, one has a less boiling point and other has a higher boiling point. Means when you will heat this mixture, the one with the less boiling point will evaporate and go away, and one with the more higher boiling point, it will not boil easily, will remain back. So when is the method of evaporation used? When the two components of mixture are there, one has a less boiling point, when there is a difference in the boiling point of both the components. So evaporation can be only used when there is a difference of boiling point. Now we did in the previous lectures or previous years, you must have done, for example, sea water or say salt water. What happens with salt water? When you boil the water, then the water will evaporate. Why? Because it has got a low boiling point. So water will evaporate, and what will remain behind is the salt. But here we are going to look at a different separation, the dye from the ink. Now look here, the mixture of dye has a higher boiling point. So the mixture of dye and water makes the ink. So the water and dye together make the ink, but the dye will be left behind in the petri dish and the water will evaporate. Why the water evaporates? We have controlled the temperature in such a way that the water boils and evaporates. So what is left behind is the ink. Now look at the arrangement and try to understand the procedure, the experiment here. Fill half a beaker with water. You can see a beaker, this beaker is filled with water. Now on the beaker a watch glass is put. This is the watch glass put on the beaker. Okay, and the ink is inside. You can see the mixture written here. The ink is in the watch glass. The ink is not in the beaker. The beaker is only filled with water. On the top of the beaker we have put a watch glass which contains the ink. Now we have to start heating the water. Okay, and why are we doing this arrangement? Because we do not want to heat the ink directly. You should not put the ink on the flame. You don't heat the ink directly. You put a beaker of water, half filled with water, a watch glass, this watch glass, and you fill the ink on the watch glass. Do not heat the ink directly. Okay. Now, as you heat this water, the water will start to boil. First, this water will start to boil. This water, the steam rising up will hit the ink. So the ink will start to get hot. Then what happens? You will notice that when the ink gets hot, the water part of the ink will start to evaporate. Okay? So you have to allow this steam to heat the ink in the watch glass, and you will see the water from the watch glass to evaporate. You can see the water evaporating here. So continue the process till all the water evaporates. Okay, so when that happens, what will remain behind is a dye. A very thick sticky dye will remain behind. So what have you done here? What we have done here? We have separated the volatile component, that is the solvent, that is the water. Volatile means one which can turn into vapor easily. So we have separated the water from the ink by the method of evaporation, and what remains behind is the dye. But see the arrangement, the water is put in the beaker, the ink is not put here. The ink is not put in the water. You can see carefully, the ink is not put in the water. The water is kept to heat because we do not want to heat the ink directly. The ink has to be put in the watch glass. So what happened? So we know now that ink is a mixture of a dye and water. But the amount of dye is high, it is quite concentrated. With the help of the method of evaporation, we separated the dye from the water. Okay. Now remember, in the case of evaporation, only the dye is left behind. The water is evaporated. We have not collected the water. The next is centrifugation. Now when can we use this method? So this method can be used when there are particles which are denser and particles which are lighter. So the mixture has particles denser and lighter, means heavy particles and light particles. So how is this method used? This mixture is rotated very fast or spun very rapidly. In a kind of mixture, okay, mixer, M-I-X-E-R, mixer, you have to make it move very fast round and round. So what happens? The denser particles will go at the bottom and the lighter particles will come at the top. So this method is used when the particles of the mixture have got denser and lighter particles. Now we take an example, separation of cream from milk. Okay, separation of the cream from the milk. Now you see the cream in the milk. Okay, so if you have heard of milk, let me give you some information. Single toned milk and double toned milk. T-O-N-E-D, toad. What is this milk? Adding skimmed milk powder and water to whole milk makes single tone milk. Means you have got milk, like say from the cow, milk, we add skimmed milk powder and water to it, you get single tone milk. It has about 3% fat and minimizes the body's absorption of cholesterol from the milk. So single tone milk is only 3% fat. So milk actually contains what we say, pure milk contains fat, but by adding the milk powder and water we have made the fat content lesser. So it minimizes body absorption of cholesterol, is called single tone milk. Double tone milk is obtained by adding skim milk powder to whole milk and it has only 1.5% fat content. So double tone milk is for people who have got problem of obesity or cholesterol. Now milk has got cream, means the fatty cream inside. How will we separate it? So what is done? The method of centrifugation. The milk is rotated at very high speed. The denser particle, that is the milk, will settle at the bottom and the lighter particle, the cream, will come on the top. This is how we separate the cream from the milk. And why we separate it? Because the cream is the fatty part. Now, this method of centrifugation is used in diagnostic labs for blood and urine test. So blood is also a mixture of different components, even urine is a mixture. So when rotated at a high speed, then the heavier particles will settle down and lighter particles will come to the top. Okay, now depending on the blood or urine test we are doing, the layer is taken and tested. It is used in dairies and home to separate the butter from the cream. It is using washing machine dryers to squeeze out water. So a washing machine has got a dryer. When you rotate the clothes at a high speed, then the water will settle at the bottom. This process is called centrifugation. So centrifugation is possible when the components of the mixture have got denser particles and lighter particles. All we have to do is spin the mixture at a very high speed, means rotate the mixture at a very high speed. The next method is differential extraction. Okay. Now when do we use this? When there are two immiscible liquids. What does immiscible liquids mean? Liquids which do not mix. They do not dissolve in each other. They do not dissolve in each other. So now during the rainy season you will find a problem. What problem you see? That sometimes water enters the petrol tank. Okay? Water enters the petrol tank. Now water and petrol do not mix. They both have got separate densities, they do not mix. So when you will take the petrol out of your petrol tank, if it contains water and you allow it to settle, then water will be at the bottom and petrol will be at the top. Now all you have to do is what? So in the rainy season, sometimes water can enter the petrol tank and your bike will not work properly. So you have to remove all the petrol in a bottle first, remove all the petrol in the bottle, okay, and then you will see that the water remains at the bottom and petrol at the top. So you can separate the water from the oil or petrol from the water, okay, by this separating funnel. This is called a separating funnel. Written is separating funnel. Just put the mix in the separating funnel, allow it to settle. Now open the stopcock and let the water flow out. Once all the water has flown out, close the stopcock and the oil will remain inside. So this method is used for separation of oil from water. Remember, oil and water, petrol and water, kerosene and water, they do not mix with each other. This is also used for extraction from iron from its ore. How do you remove the iron separation? You will see in the lesson of metallurgy. But what is done here is, iron is first melted. At very high temperatures, iron is melted. And when you melt it, the heavier iron settles at the bottom and the lighter slag at the top. And then we can separate the two. So again remember, this method is only possible for two liquids which do not mix at all and make separate layers. You can see the separate layers here. The layer of water and the layer of kerosene oil. So you have to remember, this method is used for liquids which are immiscible. So whenever you are asked questions in the exam, remember the name of the separation technique, the method, and why it is used. What is the specialty? So we saw evaporation. In evaporation, what was there? There was difference in the boiling point of the components of the mixture. Then we saw centrifugation. There was a difference in the density, lighter and heavier particles of the mixture. Here we have got two immiscible liquids that do not mix. So we can use differential extraction. Now sublimation. So what is sublimation? You know the process of sublimation. When a solid turns directly into gas or gas turns directly into solid, the process is called sublimation. So out of the two components, one will sublime, means directly turn from gas to solid or solid to gas. Now the example is separation of salt and ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is a sublimate, means it will sublime. Okay? So what you take a mixture of NH4Cl, ammonium chloride and common salt. There is a wire gas and a burner stand. You just heat the mixture. A cotton plug is put on the top to not let the gas escape. And an inverted funnel is kept here, right? So what will happen? First it will evaporate and come up. You can see this color here. It will evaporate and come up, and it will condense at the top of the glass, and this is how the ammonium chloride is separated from the salt. So camphor, naphthalene balls, anthracene, they all are sublimes and can be separated by this process. The next one is chromatography. Okay. Now here we will see the colored components of a mixture. Now component means here there are only not two, there are more than two. Okay, so colored component mixture can be separated by using an adsorbent. What is adsorb mean? You have used the word absorb, but this is adsorb. Adsorption is a process of surface absorption, means it is not absorbed inside, it only remains on the surface. Now like I told you, the example where is separation of different colors in black ink. Black ink contains a lot of colors, so we are going to separate all the colors. So what is done? Water and any suitable solvent moves up, it will link it to two different colors or separate colors because they are adsorbed at different speeds. Here the speed is different, and adsorption means the surface absorption. So what do you take? A thin strip of filter paper. You can see this filter paper. This is a filter paper. Okay. Draw a line using a pencil 3 centimeter above the lower edge. So you have got this paper and we have drawn a line by a pencil. Okay. Now put a small drop of ink. You can see this drop of ink which is put on the paper at the center of the line. Let it dry first. After it is dried, lower the paper into a glass jar beaker containing water. How to put it such a way that the paper is just above the water level. So you can see the arrangement here. Try to see the arrangement. Okay. We have got a strip of paper. At 3 centimeter we draw a line. Then we put a drop of ink in the middle of this paper. But you have to put the strip paper inside that this surface just touches the water. This surface, look, the ink drop is not touching the water. The surface of the paper is touching the water. And what will you observe? See this observation. When the adsorption starts, the solvent level is this high, is reach here, but the red ink is higher because it is adsorbed faster, and blue ink is lower because it is absorbed slower. So the process of separation of components of a mixture is known as chromatography. This method is called chromatography. Why? Because chroma means, in Greek, means color. So chromatography is the separation of solutes that dissolve in the same solvent, like water. So chromatography is used to separate colors of a dye to separate pigments from natural colors like chlorophyll. To remove the pigment from the natural color, to separate the chlorophyll, we can use this method. To separate drugs from the blood. This time the cases are going on Bollywood actors, drug cases. So in the drug cases, this method chromatography is used. Why? Because drugs and blood are adsorbed at different rates. So this is adsorption, also called as surface absorption. Then we have distillation. Distillation is almost same like evaporation, okay? Remember, distillation is almost same like evaporation, but here we do not allow the water to go out. We do not allow the water or the acetone to go out. Okay? The vapors which were coming out are now collected in this tube. It is cooled down by a condenser and then the liquid is collected at the bottom here. So distillation is different from evaporation. In evaporation we allow the one with the lower boiling point to go away. But here we are not allowing it to go away, we are collecting it, cooling it and getting both the liquids. So here distillation is for two miscible liquids. Separating funnel or differential extraction was two immiscible liquids. This is for two miscible liquids have mixed in each other. Okay, but there is a sufficient difference in the boiling points. So two liquids like acetone and water, see, acetone and water mix with each other very easily, but their boiling points are different. So when we use distillation, one has a lower boiling point and other has a higher boiling point. So remember, when the boiling points are different, you have to maintain the temperature. So acetone and water are miscible liquids. Okay, when you start to boil this mixture, then acetone has a low boiling point, so it starts to vaporize easily. So acetone starts to vapor, so vapors are collected here, they are condensed and then the water, the acetone is collected here. So why acetone separates first? Because acetone has got less boiling point than water and these two liquids are miscible liquids. Now, what if we have got more than two components? The liquids are not two but more than two, then we do something called fractional distillation. Okay, so you can see there are liquids, four miscible liquids A, B, C, D. Okay, they all have got different boiling points. They all have got different boiling points. So what is done? To separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids whose boiling point is difference less than 25 K. There is a difference, boiling point is less than 25 K, we use fractional distillation. Even for separation of gases from the air, okay, the boiling point has to be different, so there are different fractions for petroleum products also. So what is done here? How it is used? This is because they all have got different boiling points. So you can see here, this one has got the highest boiling point and the top is the lowest boiling point. So fractional distillation, how it is done? Because they've got different boiling points, you allow them to boil. So you heat the mixture at the bottom here. The one with the lowest boiling point will rise first, becomes hot, rise first. The next one with the less boiling point here, then the next one with a little higher boiling point, and this is the highest boiling point which is not evaporated still. So when the components have got different boiling points, but there are more than two liquids, we use fractional distillation. So you can see, for example, separation of petroleum. Petroleum consists of petrol, kerosene, diesel, naphtha, then there are tar, coal gas and everything. Because they've got different boiling points, all are separated differently. Where is the application? In petroleum refineries, natural gas processing, in oil refineries to separate the crude oil into useful substance or fractions, in the process of organic juice, in the separation of oxygen, liquid nitrogen and argon from air. We can even separate the components of air by using the process of fractional distillation. And all this is possible because all the components have got different boiling points. Now we have seen here in the book that is given how to separate oxygen from the air. So look at, understand the diagram. If you want the oxygen from the air, now the time of corona, there are oxygen cylinders, right? People are kept on ventilators and lot of oxygen is needed now. Because corona reduces the oxygen level in the body, so people have to be given oxygen. So how do we fill this oxygen? You have to take it from the air because air contains 21% oxygen. So how the process starts? The air is compressed by increasing the pressure. You can see here the air is taken in and then air is pressurized here. Increase the pressure. Okay? So the air has become hot. After that the air passes through the tube, then it is cooled down by using freezing cold water. So the liquid air is allowed to warm up slowly in a fractional distillation column and at different heights. You can see this is the cooling column. The hot air is from the top. The hot air is coming from the top and then to this tube, the cooling tube. These are the different layers you can see. So the gases get separated at different heights. Then the cold compressed air comes to the separator. Carbon dioxide comes out as dry ice. So carbon dioxide is removed at this point. The carbon dioxide comes out as dry ice. Then the liquid air is taken to the expansion jet. In the expansion jet, one with low density, that is nitrogen and argon. You can see the different layers now. Oxygen is heavy at the bottom, argon is lighter at the top, nitrogen is lighter at the top. So they come out from the top and what remains is only the liquid oxygen. So this is how oxygen is separated from the air by fractional distillation. Means you first heat it up totally, heat it well, so it separates the different layers, then you cool it. So at that point carbon dioxide separates out, then again the liquid air, high pressure air is allowed to expand. When it expands, because of density of liquid oxygen is heavier, stays at the bottom while nitrogen and argon are separated and we get the liquid oxygen. So fractional distillation, you can see the gases are separated at different heights. So first we have got the air in the top here. It is compressed and cooled by increasing pressure and decreasing temperature. So it becomes liquid air. And the liquid is allowed to warm slowly. So first you compress and make it a liquid, then you allow it to warm again. And according to different temperatures it will separate. So air is a homogeneous mixture. Okay, it is first compressed and cooled by increasing the pressure and decreasing the temperature. So air becomes liquefied. Now once it becomes liquefied, it is allowed to warm up slowly and at different columns you can see the oxygen. Boiling point is minus 183, argon is minus 186, nitrogen is 196. So because of this boiling point, when it is allowed to heat up again, yes, then oxygen first turns into the liquid and is separated out. Then we have got the next process is crystallization. Okay, so this is used to remove the impurities. There is a mixture which you have got which contains impurities. So first we dissolve. First you have to dissolve all the components in a suitable solvent and then crystallize out only one component. So everything is allowed to dissolve in the solvent and then we again crystallize. For example, the example is obtaining pure copper sulfate from the impure sample. So impure sample contains copper sulfate plus a lot of impurities. Okay, now we want to take out pure copper sulfate. So what do we do? So we take the impure copper sulfate in a china dish and we dissolve everything in water. Okay, so first you take the sample and dissolve in the water. Or you can dissolve in this. So you have to do first, what you have to do, take the copper sulfate and dissolve in water. Now you will find some particles which are solid, so you can filter them out. After the filtration is done, again evaporate the water from the copper sulfate to get a saturated solution. Cover it with the filter paper and leave it for a day, slowly to cool for a day. Okay, or copper sulfate are dissolved in sulfuric acid also. You can dissolve in depends on water or sulfuric acid and heat to make a saturated solution. Okay, so what you have done, you have heated it with sulfuric acid or water to make a saturated solution. Now leave it for a day. Okay, when you leave it for it starts to cool down. Now pure copper sulfate crystals are formed, so they will crystallize again. After cooling, copper sulfate will crystallize and impurities are left behind in the solution. Then you filter it, so you get the pure copper sulfate crystals separately on the filter paper. So when you use this method, here you have to use this method when all the components of the mixture dissolve in a solvent. So you cannot remove the impurities as it is. You have to first dissolve the mixture with the impurities in a suitable solvent, heat it to make it a saturated solution, allow it to cool again. So the one with the lower boiling freezing point will turn into crystals. Now we see why crystallization is better than evaporation. Okay, now there are many techniques of separation, and with advancing technology many new separation methods have been devised. But why is crystallization better than evaporation? One reason, solids decompose or get charred upon heating. So when you try to evaporate the water from a sugar solution, then the sugar will get charred or will become black due to the heat. So at that time we do not try evaporation, we go for crystallization. Then second reason, some impurities remain dissolved in solution after filtration. On evaporation, these impurities do not evaporate and remain with the mixture. So there are some impurities which do not evaporate, they remain with the mixture. At that time also crystallization is a better technique. So crystallization is done for purification of salt from seawater. Like I told you, we can use distillation also, but crystallization is better than distillation. And separation of crystals are like alum, that is pitkari, patakadi we say, copper sulfate from the impure crystal. So use the method of crystallization. Now, what method of crystallization to provide pure drinking water? The municipality provide pure drinking water. So the water from the reservoir is brought to a sedimentation tank. You can see what is a sedimentation tank. Water is kept as it is for a long time. So all the heavy particles like mud and dust will settle below. Okay. Then we use fatakadi or alum added to the water to make the particles settle down. In the filtration tank, what happens in the filtration tank? All the impurities are separated. Then water goes to the chlorination tank. Chlorination kills all the bacteria. And after that, the water is supplied to the homes. So look at this diagram also and learn this diagram very well. The diagram can be asked in the exam. Okay, so there are 4 stages here you saw. The water from the river or break is brought through canals or long pipes to the water work, that is the filter station, where it is mixed with soda lime and alum solutions. So the heavier particles will settle down like mud, clay. Okay, the substance that react with another to form aluminum hydroxide, a gel-like sticky solid. It is then pumped into big settling tank. So it is pumped to a settling tank where most of the suspended impurities settle down. After 2 or 3 days, the clear water is passed through successive filters of boulder, gravel, quartz and fines. And you can see this. There is boulder. Boulder means big stones, small stones, gravel, sand. The different layers. But water is allowed to pass. So all the mud will settle here. Only the pure water will pass from here. So all the mud and the heavier particles have been separated, but there can be jumps in the water. So the next step is to take it through a chlorination tank to kill all the germs, and then it is sent to the homes for distribution. So in this lecture we have done all the techniques of separation of mixtures from separation of components from a mixture, right? Go through the lecture and see the difference between each method used. When to use a particular method you will decide depending on the components of the mixture. So which technique you will use depends upon the components of the mixture. So see crystallization, distillation, evaporation, fractional distillation, chromatography, all these are different methods. Kindly see, because this can be asked as a 2 mark question, as a difference, and learn all the diagrams also. So this was the lecture only related to different methods or processes for separation of components of the mixture. Okay, so I'm going to end here. Thank you.